Hello, everyone. Welcome to Cyber Renaissance. This is the next video in the series. I do suggest you watch it from the beginning so you will have a complete understanding of what the cyber world order is. It's why all the chaos is in the world. It's why everything seems so bonkers. It's because whenever you're going to change a system, you first have to tear down what's there in order to usher in the next version of society. And that's what we get to go through right now. So as long as we have a good understanding of it, we're good. Then we can navigate and we can adjust if we need to. Now, the first videos in this series were about digitization, biometrics, Internet of Things, Internet of Bodies. I went over the connectivity of that, meaning the faster internet speeds, the electromagnetic frequencies like 5G, 6G. Right now, I believe we're on about 7. And today we're going to go over VR, AR, and we'll eventually get to VI and robotics and AI and the rest of it. Okay, so let's start with virtual reality. Virtual reality simply is the idea of simulated experience to immerse yourself in that employs 3D near eye displays and pose tracking to give the user an immersive feel of a virtual world. Applications of virtual reality include entertainment, education, and business. VR is one of the key technologies in the reality virtuality continuum. This is an example of VR being used for entertainment. Video games. You used to have to sit and stare at a screen and be outside of the video game. Well, VR, what it does is it gives us the opportunity to be completely immersed, like we're an avatar inside the game. VR is being used for different conventions where they're going and they're having conventions and everybody sits inside of a set of VR goggles and has the convention inside of a virtual experience. VR in education. This is from 2021 with the WEF virtual reality. Could it be the next big tool for education? Well, yes, it could be. VR is being used in the classrooms and it will continue to be that way where students have a complete immersive experience rather than being learning from a book or from a teacher. Well, they'll be able to learn their different studies inside a virtual reality experience. This to me is sad. However, it's because I tend to like the real world, but yet the children today, this is going to be part of their natural experience, right? They're not going to know any different because they're growing up in the days that this is normal. It's not going to be anything unusual for them. And libraries, you used to go into a library and read books, and then it turned to computers where people would go to the libraries and look at computer screens. Well, now it's turning into a library that has virtual reality experiences for the people that go into the library. It's being used in courtrooms. It's being used on the job training. People get trained through a virtual reality experience for whatever new job that they are applying for. Virtual reality in the womb. This is just another example of how virtual reality is being used, where you can meet your baby inside a VR experience before they're ever born. So, virtual reality is becoming part of our normal world. And this was depicted in a Hollywood film, as all science fiction films are trying to show the population. In this case, there's a movie that came out called Ready Player One, where the real world became so dismal that people opted to go inside the virtual space. In the movie, it was called the Oasis. Today in our world, it's called the metaverse, which is really interesting because inside the movie at the very beginning, the star of the show was narrating to the audience to kind of catch them up to where the movie was going to be taking place. And he said that the metaverse in the movie, the Oasis, went online in 2024, and the movie is taking place in 2040. 1945. If you remember this movie, who doesn't remember The Matrix, right? One of my all time favorite movies, because it's chock full of dialogue explaining the truth. Like I say, if you want to know more truth, you're going to need to turn off the news and start watching some science fiction movies. Well, this was when they would be able to sit in a chair and they would have downloaded into their mind different scenarios. One of the examples was when Neo learned how to do martial arts, and it was uploaded or downloaded into his mind. So then when he went inside this virtual experience, he was able to actually know how to do uh, some sort of martial arts. I'm not sure which one he was doing, but it was martial arts. It was just uploaded in minutes into his mind so that he was able to actually perform martial arts. And it seems like it's science fiction, doesn't it? No, it's not though. There's a company called Cognify. This is an example of their video. They're the same company that came out with the idea about 2 years ago of showing people how humans could be grown as crops and babies could be birthed, not birthed, but created inside these pods, right? And everybody thought, oh well, no, that's crazy. That'll never happen. Well, today all you got to do is get on a search engine and you'll find for yourself that yes, it can happen. And again, it looks science fictiony, but this is our real world. This company, Cognify, is creating a revolutionary prison concept using AI and brain implants to fast track criminal rehabilitation. Cognify is a revolutionary new jail concept that uses artificial intelligence and brain implants to reduce the time it takes for criminals to recover from years in minutes. Like Neo, in getting downloaded in minutes his ability to be able to perform martial arts. Introducing fictitious memories of crimes into convicts' brains is an innovative technique to reform the criminal justice system. It allows inmates to understand their misdeeds from the perspective of their victims. Did you catch that? Introducing fictitious memories. So they are inserting false memories into people in prison to give them a mind download no different than we saw in the movie The Matrix. Inside the criminal's mind, the Cognify concept. It is developed. It represents a significant step forward in assisting offenders to improve. The technology contains a VR-like gadget that displays an AI-generated video of the crime and a brain implant that causes the individual to experience negative emotions such as regret and guilt. Okay. So these fabricated recollections are meant to be very real and detailed so that the offender feels the emotional effects of the crime. This could change their mind and make them less likely to commit another crime. Okay. This is reality, just like in the movie The Matrix, with AI and brain implants and inserting the memory of the crime. In other words, the criminal will have a reboot or a re experience of the crime that they committed, and they'll feel the effects of how the person that they were the victim, how they felt during that crime, in an attempt to rehabilitate them in minutes rather than in years of incarceration. Okay, do you understand this? Now, something I would like to mention to you to keep in mind is this will be sold to the population as rehabilitating prisoners. And we'll all go, oh, that sounds great, right? It'll make it safer for us. They'll be able to go out and live in society without the idea that they'll commit a crime again because they will have experienced what it's like to be on the other side of being a perpetrator, right? They'll be able to experience being the victim. However, do you think it's going to stop with prisoners? Do you think it's going to not be available to the general population? And what I mean by that is inserting false memories. It's already been done, guys. There is no technology that's being exposed or being disclosed now that isn't already perfected. and been tested on humans to then be accepted and normalized and used on the general population. It could significantly reduce the need for long term prisons and their associated cost. This is the selling point. Traditional jails cost a lot of money to build, maintain, staff, and provide prisoners with care such as food, medical care, and rehabilitation programs. The criminal justice system's costs could be significantly reduced if long prison terms were replaced with short, intensive rehabilitation programs. Now, it sounds good, right? But it's inserting fake memories that would fit perfectly with the brain's natural neural networks. This would prevent cognitive dissonance and make the person think the memories are real. This smooth merging is critical for the rehabilitation process to work. Think about this: inserting false memories that the person thinks is real. Sound familiar? There's a lot of people on the internet that are claiming that they had experiences that they swear were real because they have the memory of it. In other words, people have been used as or experimented on guinea pigs for the technology that they're now introducing to the population. They do a complete brain mapping. Does this look familiar to you? It's called brain mapping. The rehabilitation meetings are meant to feel like years to the prisoner, even though they only last a few minutes in real time. Sound familiar? Remember Neo in the Matrix? It was only minutes that he was being downloaded with his martial art technology, the martial art techniques. This is done by changing the way the criminal thinks about time, speeding up their actions' long term effects. The memories can be altered to fit the needs of each person's rehabilitation, depending on how evil the act was. The technology shows visual effects and makes people's bodies react, which lets criminals feel their victims' pain and suffering. Some memories are meant to cause long lasting trauma, like the effect on the victim's body and mind or the grief of the victim's family. So they're inserting false memories that feel real. They feel physically real, they feel emotionally real, and it's done in a matter of minutes, but it can feel like it's years. Like they've been going through this rehabilitation for years and it's only done in minutes. This is an example of what the technology is said to look like, where they strap in the person's head and they adjust the timing and the experience for each prisoner depending on what they need to rehabilitate from. But if they're doing this for prisoners, what do you think the implications of this for the general population will be? Inserting false memories that can affect the way you feel, the physical sensations that you feel. If you watch my other video on 6G, what did I say that that's called? It's called the frequency for the perception internet, adding senses to people, being able to manipulate the senses that you already have, the perceptions you have, the thoughts you have, what you hear, what you see, what you can feel. Okay? This is the new world. This is the cyber world order. It may not be normalized, and most 99.99% of the population would never think what was happening in the Matrix movie with Neo being implanted with false memories and false abilities or superhuman abilities in minutes. Most of the population would never believe that this would even be something that would be even considered to be normalized and used on the population. But here we are. And the selling point is to do it to prisoners. What happens when people have mental conditions and they suddenly have a false memory and they're cured. It's sold as a cure for mental illness, sold as a cure for rehabilitation. You're going to have a whole bunch of people running around on the country that are controlled because you can insert anything into their mind that you want, and you can control their feelings. Yeah. So let's talk about augmented reality, which is an interactive experience that combines the real world with computer generated 3D content. The content can span multiple sensory modalities, including visual, auditory, haptic, somatosensory, and olfactory. So, this is all technology to control reality, control perceptions. This is an example of what augmented reality looks like. You can kind of be looking at reality. I did this on another presentation, showed what it looks like if you're in a grocery store. You can still see the grocery store, but you have an augmented reality screen in front of you where you can be watching TikTok, or it'll show you if you're in the grocery store, it will show you what products are on sale. And it's all like a screen in front of you that's just looks like it's floating in the air, right? It's not really there, but it looks like it. It's augmenting reality. And here's this example again, a holographic reality. This is what 6G is for. This is the perception internet. This is where you can have everything's being digitized, including the human, having a digital twin of themselves, a hologram that can be in a meeting across town or across the world. And it looks like you're really in that room, but it's just your hologram. And this kind of looks cartoonish in this example, but we can all go back to 2012. This is not new technology, it's been slowly dripped out to the population. This is the disclosure that I'll call it the alternative community has been waiting for. They're waiting for some big disclosure to happen. Disclosure has been happening. They've been disclosing our new world to us for decades. This is in 2012. Tupac gave a concert, but he wasn't there, but his hologram was. Looks a little more real, doesn't it, than this slide? Because this is really the advanced technology. And this is a decade ago, over a decade ago. Imagine how realistic it looks today. And then we had this one in 2014. Michael Jackson gave a concert at one of the award shows, and it wasn't him, it was his hologram. Looks a little more realistic, doesn't it? And this has been slowly going. This has been slowly being normalized to the population to have a digital twin, to be a virtual reality avatar. Starts out fun to do, fun to have a avatar of yourself that's not a real photo. But this is all intended to normalize having a digital twin and living inside a virtual reality experience rather than living in the real world. Cute, looks fun. I've done it. But it's all normalizing getting rid of being human and accepting being a digital twin version of yourself. Just like this, it's all fun and games, but the intention of it is to completely have our reality switched to a digital, mechanical, avatar, robotic reality powered by AI, completely where our thoughts, our feelings, our emotion, our behavior, our perceptions are all augmented. So I'm going to always end with this. It's a battle for your mind. It's very vital to be able to recognize what's real versus artificial. What news programs are being presented to the population, causing their reactions to be augmented? their thoughts to be controlled, their feelings to be controlled, therefore behaviors predictable. Well, doing this on a black screen mirror, broadcasting a news channel is one thing, but doing this through frequencies, electromagnetic frequencies, controlling humans' thoughts and feelings and behavior and perceptions, that's a whole nother level. So it's vital to keep control of your mind, recognize what's real versus augmented, and start making the decisions now. How far into that digital world are you willing to go? Because that choice is being made by all the choices you are making. And if you don't know that this is what's going on, well, you're going to be making choices unconsciously. And we don't want that. So that's the end of this presentation, and I will see you on the next one.